What we're going to discuss is how to use the PC sim for Tyrant Unleashed. This is the CMD is another term that's being used, or PC sim or Tyrant Optimizer. First thing you need to do is go to this website to download it. And you want to get the latest one. The latest one right now currently available is TUO 2.1.6. So click on it and it will down and then download it by hitting the zip file. Once this is downloaded, you need to go and unzip it or drag and drop it to the correct location by going into wherever it downloaded to. In this case, I'm using Windows 8, or Windows 7 also does the same thing. It goes to a download folder. And it should be the last thing that was downloaded. No, of course, I got a whole bunch of crap in here. And it says TU 2.1. So you open this up and you need to extract all the contents to somewhere on your hard drive. I typically, in this case, I have already got one installed and it's under right on the desktop. So I'm just going to open up this folder and overwrite the existing one because it's an older version by selecting and dragging and dropping. And that should put it in. And just replace. And then there's data files. If this is your first install, you also want to copy all these in. I currently already have stuff installed, so I'm not going to bother overwriting it. I'll pull because the cards and the mission and stuff like that automatically will update when you hit the update button. I'm going to pull the raid one over though because I think it's newer, or I may not have it. Same with the recipes, but the custom decks file, which this you have to rename it from custom decks template to just custom decks. So you would remove these components. And same with the owned cards, you would remove the template portion of it. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to go in here, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff already created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and go back one level, and then you open this by clicking on this button. And then this brings up the actual sim. What you need to do before you start doing any of your sims is you need to get the file from me or somebody else, which is the real G gauntlet that is being used. And I see I've got a TXT file, and this is the mobile version, the one that works on the mobile that is online. You just have to ask for it. What you do is once you get this, you open this file, and it's got all these in it. So what you would do is you would do a right click and say select all and do a copy, and then you can close this, and then you go back to up here on the top. This is the key stuff. You want to hit update XMLs. You want to do this normally when an event starts. They update them as soon as the event starts. It'll have the event bosses and everything if you need to sim them, and all the new cards, all the box cards, and all that stuff. So just by clicking on that, that updates that. Then you go to custom decks one. Click on it, expand it. You go all the way to the bottom, and then you would drop it in. This one has been customized already, and I've already got these files in, but you would go to the very bottom and do a paste, and that puts it in. After that, you would just save the file and exit out. I'm not going to save because I've already got it in there. So now you're pretty much ready to sim. What I do is when you're going to do a sim on your deck, you want to put in your current deck that you currently are running, and then you also want to put in all of your cards in inventory on here by clicking on the owned cards option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop, where I store all my stuff basically, but I've got other stuff running on it right now, and I'm going to pull my alts, one of my alts decks, so that I can do a sim basically and show how to actually run different sims. I'm going to do a couple different ones under my decks. I've got multiple files here. See, I'm running, this is the cards I currently have, and then this is a file with all the current cards. I've got all my different fusions that I can currently make. I run this one when I'm doing the next card that I want for an event. So, but I've got my current deck that I use in here. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to open this up. And see, this has got all mine. I always have all the commanders maxed out at the top. And the reason for that is because you never know when you're going to need to run a special mission or a special sim to find out which commander works best for an event. Like the mutant ones is a good example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all my cards that I have currently in inventory and all the different commanders that are available basically. Sometimes people they go ahead and they put the current level that you have the commander instead of the max level. That's personal preference, depending on if you want to view what you want to view basically. This is my full inventory, so I'm going to save this now and I can close this, and then I go back to that file that I have my inventory and see at the bottom I have different decks. Then this is my current deck minus one card because I haven't updated it as of late. So I drop that in here, and I'm going to put the last card in, which is Jack. So I type it in. If you don't put a level after the card, if you leave just the card name, that means it's going to be maxed. And capitalization is key. You have to spell it exactly, and capitalization has to be exactly like it is in the game. And then down here you put RG because that's the designation we're using for the real gauntlet on the CMD version. Okay, now I'm going to run for the upcoming brawl. I'm going to run the first day is heal all 2. So I would go in and I would type in heal 2. There, I just changed the X to that. They've got a setting here to run for brawls. I don't use it. I use the Guild War one instead. This one is you going second. This is Surge mode. This is what you would use, what I would call your offensive deck. I sim for offense and defense, which defensive decks are basically decks that you run when you're not playing. Makes it harder for the opponent to beat you, so they get lower points or they lose versus winning against you because of your deck. So I intentionally run different decks because of that. So you put all this in, and then you hit I do random and climb. Climb tells it to look for the cards that you put into inventory. And then you hit sim. And it goes through, and you'll see this thing, and it goes through, and it's loading all. And what you want to do, you'll want to scroll up to the top, and you want to look up here. See how it says unknown card? That means that the card was typed in correctly. So missile silo, see it's misspelled. So that means that it's not going to, all those unknowns, it's not going to read basically. So it's not going to calculate if those cards work for you. So you really need to go back and fix those so that they're correct, so you get a more accurate reading. And it goes through and it'll tell you all these numbers here are each one of the opponents. There's 50 opponents, so there's going to be 50 different results. And then you get an average based on those. And then this is the deck that it's running, basically. And then this will go until it's done, basically, and it'll say at the bottom, hit next key, basically, to prove that it's when you're done, basically. So what you want to do is you want to let this go. I'm going to stop my recording, and I'll make a second one once it's finished, because this could take a minute, it could take 10 minutes, it could take an hour. So stay tuned for the second part.